everybody. Hello, hello. You are watching me go live. Welcome to Sunday, ELR 360 Live. Hello, everybody. Hello, hello. Yes. Welcome, fans of Everybody Loves Raymond. This is Tom Caltabiano, writer on Everybody Loves Raymond for all 9 years. Hello, Gil. Let me check my microphone. Now that you're on, I'm going to plug in my external microphone. There we go. How are we sounding, Gil, in the UK? Hello, Barbara. Hello, Renee. Hello, Purple Aquarius. Saved by Joyful. Yes, so many people. Ralphie. Oh, Ralphie is on. We have a celebrity on. Hello, Sandra in New Jersey. Hello, Donnell in Austin, Texas. Is that correct, Donnell? You watch? Yes, great. All right, so welcome. This is our extended family. Everybody Loves Raymond, 360 Live, trying to do a weekly update, telling stories, interviewing people, talking about Everybody Loves Raymond, the show that we all love. Without the fans, we would not have a hit show on our hands. And Ray knew that, Phil knew that, everybody loved the fans because that allowed us to do the show for 9 years, being one of the top-rated shows in that period. So today we will talk about a few things that I have mentioned in my posts. And don't forget, there's an ELR 360 Live Facebook page, and we're going to be starting a YouTube page very soon where all of these will be uploaded, and then you can read them. So, all right, here we go. Looking, hello. The Obsession. Oh, that sounds like my doorbell. I bet you I have a delivery. And it's not part of the show. But maybe it is something. Hello, everybody. Hello, Noah. Hello, everybody. So let me just answer that question real quickly. The obsession with ginger ale. Ray liked ginger ale. And so Canada Dry sent ginger ale to the set. And usually you would get a paid promotional deal. But we did not do it in this case. So they just provided ginger ale, and Ray drank it all the time. Ray didn't drink coffee. In real life, Ray Romano does not drink coffee, and he just loved ginger ale. So that's why you see so much ginger ale in the episodes, especially up front. Now, nowadays, my guess is you would never do that. If you did that on a show, they would have to pay a fee, and that fee would be something expensive. So what happens is, I will give you an example. I know during the show Old Christine, let me know if you've ever seen Old Christine. That's with Julie Louis-Dreyfus. One of the producers there told me that they did product placement with Hellmann's Mayonnaise. And Hellmann's Mayonnaise, for those of you that aren't in the United States, that's a very well-known brand of mayonnaise. They paid a lot of money to have Julie Louis-Dreyfus say it. Now, as far as I know, we never did that type of product placement on Everybody Loves Raymond for all 9 years. And so there was nothing any of our characters were saying because we were getting paid money. Yes, Karen. Hello, Karen. Ray doesn't drink coffee. That is unusual. You are correct. That is very unusual. Ray Romano does not drink coffee. And one of the funny exchanges in the writer's room one time was, we were going over a script, and it said, Ray drinks coffee. And Ray said to Phil Rosenthal, I don't really drink coffee. And Phil said, well, in the scene, pretend you are drinking coffee. And Ray said something very funny, which is, yeah, I guess eventually I'm going to have to start acting. So it was a little bit of a thing that we knew. Ray did not. Okay. Father Huxley, yes. So I want to bring up, as I go past these questions, let me go back and answer this question. We talked about Marie's sculpture, and Donnell, you found what happened to one of the sculptures. So as far as I know, there were at least two sculptures. For those of you who don't know, it's a giant abstract sculpture that was in the episode, and they were about 6 feet tall. And they, as I've said, for those of you that are just joining, you always have two of every prop, possibly three, because what you can't have on a production is all of a sudden, oh, the sculpture broke, so we have to stop. We have 200 people. We have 130 people shooting. So they always have two of everything minimum. That includes food. When you see them eating food, there's probably 25 cakes that are, for every one cake, there's probably at least 3 cakes and then more, because you never want to be the reason that the production stops. And when Ralph, who did hair, he was saying that it's your worst nightmare is to have 130 people look at you as you're in the hair department or the props department, and they're saying, hold for the makeup department. You never want to hear that. Hold for props, because props forgot to get an extra thing. So there were two of the sculptures, and one of them I knew belonged to Doris. So in real life, Doris had that sculpture. And so I did not know what happened to it. And thanks to Donnell, who's on here. Let me see if I have. Yes, here we go. So apparently, here is a description of it from an auction house. Now, it's backwards, so you're going to have to look at it in the mirror, but I can just tell you it says from a popular TV show, and that is a clip on TV Land of the sculpture with the two nuns looking at the sculpture. I know that you can't read the writing because it is backwards and a little bit blurry, but there was an auction for the sculpture. And again, somebody I had pointed out, if you watch this in a mirror, it won't be backwards, but I will post this picture on there. The sculpture sold at auction for about $2,500. So somebody, and I don't know who, paid for that. And I was thinking about it. If you did win that in an auction, it presents the same problem that it did in the show. Do you want that in your house or in your business? It presents a bit of a problem. But I thought that was a bargain. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think $2,500 for that piece of television history is a bargain? But there we go. Thanks again to Donnell for pointing that out. Let me see if I can find, there's one thing with the actual price. Yes, it sold for $2,560, and they expected it to get $400. So $2,560, and they expected to get $400, which is quite something. But again, do you want that in your house? That's why the episode was funny. Yes, it's a sailboat. Yes, a bargain. Yes, I do think a bargain. I know it sounds, if you're just trying to pay rent, it seems like, wow. Yes, Karen, backwards, it's still, yes, it still works. One of those nuns played the waitress on Mom. Oh, good to know. Yes. So one of those nuns, I think her name is Laurie Johnson. Her father was a famous jazz piano player who worked with Ella Fitzgerald, etc. If you look it up for me, I think you will find out that is. Now, also, if you go online, you can find there's somebody went to the estate sale, which I knew nothing about. I didn't know that sculpture was up for sale. I didn't know that Doris had an estate sale. And it's a little bit sad when I watch it, because I have all these memories of going to that house for Christmas, and you're seeing all of her possessions. So if you guys look up on YouTube the Doris Roberts estate sale, you can see the inside of her house much more than in my still photographs. This, for those of you that didn't watch, that's during her Christmas party. That's me opening up a gift. And so where that Christmas tree is, her large window, if you go on YouTube and look up that video, you will see them walking around in Doris's house. And again, quite sad for me to watch, to look at. And you'll even notice there's a little radio that I gave to Doris. It's a Tivoli radio that I gave to everybody, and it was up for sale, a lot of scripts, etc. All right, let me catch up on some questions. This is great. Antonio, does Ray drink cappuccino? Yes, he does. Your coworker, Purple Aquarius 19, your coworker was at the taping of the sculpture. Then they saw a fantastic episode. Yes, so Karen, the sculpture in the UK, from everything I've heard from your fellow UK peeps, they do not show the sculpture episode, and I think it's because it's on in the morning, but it's one of the funnier ones. I don't remember. Someone will know what season that was. Maybe season 5 is my blind guess. Charles Durning question. Okay. I have a very long story about Charles Durning. Charles Durning played Father Hubley on a bunch of episodes, including one that I wrote with, I think Mike Royce and I wrote it together about the first time. I don't remember if it was just me and Mike, or me, Mike, and somebody else, and maybe Tucker or something, but I'm not sure. Are we going to talk about Robert's suit? Yes, Ray. Yes, the little suit. Okay. So let's talk about Robert's suit. So I posted a picture of Robert's suit. It got a big response. That was from Robert's date, written by Jeremy Stevens, who unfortunately is no longer with us. Jeremy was, I believe, 83 when he passed this last, I want to say, November, from combination of many things. Robert's date was one of the funnier episodes, and I know there's a lot of funny episodes, but Brad Garrett dancing and Brad Garrett doing that, Brad Garrett just elevated that material, and it was just pure joy to watch. Now, that suit just recently, and we'll see when Phil's on again, I think Phil has that suit, and like I said, there's probably 2 of those suits, and one of them may be at the Smithsonian. I'm not sure. I mentioned in my post that if you go online and look at bloopers, you will see Ray trying to get Brad to laugh, and he does. Brad loses it because Ray does all these alternate lines. And on the show, I've mentioned before when people ask, oh, can you ad-lib? Did people ad-lib? The truth is, you can't ad-lib, and I've explained it, but there's so many people waiting to hear the lines. Meaning the cameraman, the sound people, the switcher who puts the thing. So you can't just ad-lib. The only time you can ad-lib is if the line is kind of clearly at the end of something and there's no camera moves. So in that scene, they're both in a restaurant, and Ray and Robert goes, do you know where I had to go to get this suit? And then Ray knew that, this is an opportunity for what we would call second takes. The second take, a new line. So this new line would be completely new to the audience and the cast. So the cast had no idea what was coming. So Ray, especially because he was so comfortable with Brad, who's also a stand-up, was like, okay, let's write a whole bunch of these potential second takes. And you see Robert loses it because there's so many, and it presents itself, it's ripe to be made fun of. So one of them is Gouldens. One of the bloopers is Gouldens. And I don't know if you know, in the UK or in Australia, Gouldens is a type of mustard. So it's Gouldens mustard, and it's, believe it or not, it's mustard colored. And that's what the suit was. So Ray just reels off one line after another line after another line. And you know, Brad, who's very professional, you don't want to laugh, because even though it's fun to watch these bloopers now, it's the same thing that we brought up before when Ralph said you don't want to stop the production. So as much fun as it is for us to watch the cast of Friends or the cast of Seinfeld or Frasier laughing, you still have the whole, the showrunner, Phil, in the case of Raymond, is sitting there going, let's go. I want the audience to be fresh. I want the audience to be here for as little time as possible so that when they watch this whole episode being filmed, they're not tired. And so you see Brad hitting the table going, I'm sorry. It's because of that. It's because Brad knows that everybody's sitting there watching. Of course, there's nothing will make you laugh harder than watching people, the cast breaking up. So, yes. So, the bloopers from the scene. Let me scan through some of these. It must be great. Yes, Karen. Must be great to work and get paid to make people laugh. Excellent topic, because sometimes we'd be in the writer's room and we would be laughing so hard, you're crying and holding your sides. And then Phil would say, I can't believe we're getting paid to do this. And that sounds great. And it is great. The downside is when you're staring at a blank piece of paper or a blank computer and go, okay, I have 40 pages to go and I have nothing. Then you start going, maybe another line of work would be less stressful. All right, let me scroll through. You watched a Goofy movie and recognized Brad Garrett's voice. Yeah, Brad Garrett does a lot of voiceover. Just in case you don't know, Brad Garrett does a lot of voiceover. Of course, Ray does the voice of Manny in Ice Age, and his voice is so distinct that Ray's voice so distinct. There's not that many voiceover jobs that Ray has done. King Me 57. You finally saw Ray's Right Around the Corner Netflix special. It was hilarious. I like how it ended by zooming out on Ray's and his family, like the last episode of ELR. I never thought of that until this moment. So for those of you who haven't seen, if you have Netflix, you can watch Ray's stand-up special called Right Here Around the Corner. It's a reference to where he started. He's one of the early clubs in New York is called the Comedy Cellar. And the Comedy Cellar built, it's not an annex, but it's kind of like the annex. So around the corner from the original cellar is another club where Ray did. So when he filmed it, so I was there for the whole thing. I think he filmed 6 shows and they cut in between those 6 shows. So Ray's walking and he says, this is where I started, right here, but around the corner. So if you watch that episode, you'll see Ray at the very end. You will see Ray's whole family going to a pizza place called Joe's Pizza, which is a favorite it's down in Greenwich Village. If you guys ever have a chance, go to the Comedy Cellar. I will tell Ray that you loved Right Around the Corner. And how many of you didn't know that Ray even did stand up? Give me some hearts if you didn't know that Ray Romano Barone did stand up. Okay, so when Ray was in New York, he was known as a great stand-up. He's still a great stand-up, but he kept getting booked to read because he would kill is the term when you do really well in front of an audience in stand-up. He would kill, and people would be like, we want to use him for something. And so a couple times Ray went in and read, and they're like, well, he's not something. Whatever they were looking for, that wasn't it. So Ray was just known as a fantastic stand-up who probably not really going to have an acting career, etc. And in fact, and this will play into the script that I'm going to peek inside of, which, let me see if yes, okay. Here is the script. We're going to look inside of this. I know it's backwards, but it is The Apartment. The Apartment is the name of the script, and we will look at never before seen photos from the wardrobe department. All right. When Ray was up for a part on the series News Radio, he came out to Hollywood, and he was on it for one day and got replaced, which is a polite way of saying he got fired after one day. So as you guys who have watched, you know that the beginning of the week is called a table read. So you sit there and you read the script from beginning to end, and that's how the writers watch it and the network watches, etc. So Ray did that on News Radio, and the next day they called his manager and said, we're going to go a different way, which means you're fired. So Ray was in Hollywood for a total of one day working, and then went immediately back to New York. So let's see. So if you didn't know, so for friends of his, it was like, oh yeah, Ray's a stand-up and he didn't get that part, and oh well, he'll just be a really great stand-up. Then I believe it was 1 year later, he got a development deal with David Letterman, and that led to Everybody Loves Raymond. And ultimately, Ray, as you may know, won an Emmy for acting. So for all the people that cast him or wanted to cast him and said, yeah, he's not so good of an actor, that's a little bit of comeuppance, I would say. Not that Ray thinks that way. And who would have thought that Ray would be in a Martin Scorsese movie? Okay. Let me scroll down and see if I missed any questions before. Missed any answers? Yes. Good. Yes. Tabby in the suburbs. Wow, good for Ray that he didn't let that discourage him. Yes, but that is a great point. It was discouraging for him just because when you work in TV, you can make a lot of good money, and he had twin boys and a daughter at the time. And so I think that, as much as for the ego, that also, he lost that paycheck. So he lost that potential. Bobby Silva in Maui. No, are you in Maui? I know you're in Hawaii. Ray did an excellent job, an excellent set in The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. Yes, excellent set. I was there. I was in the audience. So should Ray be thankful to Carson or Letterman for his show? For Letterman. So Carson was the king of late night, and that was the dream. But Ray was on right before, I think 6 months before Carson ended, and it was a big buildup. I'll tell you that whole story, but maybe not on this one. I will tell you the story of Ray's appearance on Carson. But Ray did Carson. He killed about 2 weeks before, or maybe a week before Ray's Carson appearance, and you can look it up on YouTube. Another comedian went up and killed, and he got a TV show and became a star. And that comedian is Drew Carey. So Drew Carey went up, destroyed, and ended up being on the Drew Carey show. Ray went up on Carson and had an equally good set, maybe not quite as thunderous, but really good set. And nothing happened in Ray's career. So that was, I believe, and people can correct me, 92 maybe? I don't know if Carson retired. So I think it was November of 92 or 91. Ray did not get Everybody Loves Raymond until 1996. So in those 4 years, when I say nothing happened, Ray kept getting better as a stand-up, but he didn't get booked. Hello, yes, this is Tom Cultibiano, writer on Everybody Loves Raymond for all 9 years. Ray and David Letterman both were in the Worldwide Pants production company. So, Meredith, David Letterman had a company called Worldwide Pants. He saw Ray on his show doing stand-up. I was there as well. And he gave Ray a development deal. And so Letterman is responsible for the creation of Everybody Loves Raymond it was Phil Rosenthal and Ray together. And so Letterman's company, Worldwide Pants, that's why you see in the end credits, Worldwide Pants comes up. And so that's why you see Worldwide Pants Production Company. Phil Rosenthal's company was called Where's Lunch Productions. That's why that logo of the plate of food, which was different for every single episode until the very last episode. If you know what happened, you will assume. Yes, I will tell that Carson story. I have a couple of photos that I'll dig up, and we'll tell it on another future thing. Does Ray miss stand-up? Ray still does stand-up. He actually was in Las Vegas this weekend. So if you were in Vegas, you could have seen Ray, and he does it about 4 or 5 times a year. He does the Mirage. And so, yes, does he miss doing I'll tell you what's tough is because of COVID, stand-up comedy went away for the most part, at least, and I know that a lot of people are suffering in many ways. So, but he wasn't able to do stand-up that much. And there's a Comedy Magic Club, the Hermosa Beach Comedy Magic Club, where Ray loves to work out here. And so I think Ray's first love is stand-up. So when people have said to me, Ray has a lot of money now, he doesn't have to do stand-up? Well, he got into stand-up because he wanted to do stand-up. And TV was almost like a detour from his stand-up. Great. Here we go. Great questions, everybody. You've heard of Drew, but not really familiar with his work here in the UK. So, yes. So Drew Carey, I think he hosts the Price is Right. Now, people give me some hearts if you know. Let's see here. But Drew Carey's show ran for a few years. I want to say 4 or 5 years, stuff like that. Karen, you have not heard any more about Ray's new film. If I ever get the chance to get back to Vegas, I would love to see Ray or Brad doing stand-up. Yes, Brad Garrett has his new comedy club, which has opened up, which is brand new in the MGM. I have not been there yet. I did see Brad and Ray the other day, and I would like to go out to his new Vegas episode. The Janitor episode, one of the best, yeah. The quality of so many shows declines over time, not Raymond. Thank you, Tabby in the suburbs. Yes, big fans of it. So let's, and for those of you that just joined, this is Tom Caltabiano, writer on Everyone's Raymond for all 9 years. And when I don't have a guest, I try and show one of the wardrobe episodes from Everyone's Raymond. So these are the wardrobe department's scripts, and on the scripts, on every page of the script, they have a wardrobe Polaroid, and the reason they take these Polaroids is they have to make sure that continuity. So there is Ray. That says teaser, I think, at the top. So there is Raymond, I guess, getting ready to get dressed. So this is a little complicated because here is the script, and all of the photos are on the back, and they are upside down compared to the script. All right. So, before I show more photos, the apartment episode. Give me some hearts up if you even remember the apartment episode. That is where Ray goes over to, there's the apartment. Ray goes over to Robert's to check on Robert. Marie is shaming him a little bit. And yes, Bobby Silva, the mirror trick. If you watch this in the mirror, you will be able to read it. So the apartment episode, Ray goes over and finds that there's a lot of girls over at Robert's apartment, and we find out that that is why Ray is spending time there. Now, let's go back to the beginning of the story. I was telling you about Ray lasting one day on News Radio, which I don't know if you guys get News Radio in the UK, but Andy Dick was in it, and Dave... someone will help me out. Dave, who's a very funny Canadian actor, was on it. And Phil Hartman was on it. Why was there an X on Ray's sock? Is there an X on Ray's sock? Okay. I guess he doesn't have socks in the scene. Excellent observation. So, again, for those of you that don't know, the wardrobe department took Polaroids of everybody in every scene so that they could match it for continuity. So when you yourself was watching a movie... yes, Karen, in the blooper, Ray gets into the hot tub fully clothed. So Dave Foley, thank you. Thank you, CJ. Thank you very much. Yes. So in the bloopers, so I think in the episode that aired, they didn't show the hot tub scene with the girls. They didn't show them in the hot tub, but I think in the bloopers, Ray just gets in all his clothes. So this goes back to the story. Ray lasted for one day on News Radio. When he got Everybody's Raymond, he moved out, but he didn't move his family out. And for those of you that have watched all of these lives, you know some of the story. But so when he moved out, he wanted me to work on the show, to write it in the show. So he said, why don't you move out? We'll share an apartment. And then if the show gets picked up, which most shows do not get picked up, and more than likely he will be back in New York within a couple of months, which is something that happened to our friend Greg Giraldo, who was on a show called Common Law. Greg Giraldo, who was a comedian, he was on a show called Common Law. He was the star of that show. By November, so Greg and I did stand-up in July in Virginia. We both moved out at the same time in the beginning of August, last week of July. By November, Greg was already living back in New York. His show aired, canceled, and he was back in New York. So Ray and I share an apartment. And right outside of the window of our apartment, And it was, if you look it up, it's the Hillcrest Apartments. I think Ray and I lived on the second floor, I don't remember, or the third floor. And Peter Boyle lived, I think, one floor above us or below us. So it's what's known as like a business residence where all the furniture is there, everything. You just move in, turnkey operation. And Peter, his family stayed in New York. They never moved out in a full-time way. Peter was always a Manhattanite. So Ray, we move out, and there's a hot tub there. And Ray's wife forbid me for having any female friends over. And we would tell these stories of you could look in the hot tub, and we're in Hollywood, and there was a lot of activity coming out in that hot tub. You would see, Ray and I would hear noises, and then you would see who knows what fun people were having in the hot tub. So there was a little bit of a taking that from real life. So let's look inside the apartment, and we'll find out when we get to the picture of Patty what her condition was. Okay, so there is Ray. Again, for those of you that have never seen this, their wardrobe, they're worried about the wardrobe. They're not worried about getting a good picture. They just want the wardrobe. That is Ray, and the bearded gentleman behind him is Mike Berlin, who's the DP, the director of photography on the show. Ray smiling. So there we go. Ray, they circled something that was important to the scene. Was it a phone or something? I can't even see it. And there's Ray again. Again, they're not looking for a beautiful photo. They're looking just for a clear picture of the wardrobe. So that is some of Ray's wardrobe. Oh, here we go. This must be Ray going over to the apartment. There's Ray looking very dapper and visiting his brother in the apartment. And here we go. That is Phil. There's Ralphie. There is Ralphie, hair and makeup behind Ray's right elbow, or whichever elbow that's extended. That is Phil holding a script. You can only see Phil's white shirt, blue jeans, and jacket. That is Phil talking to Ray. The woman between them is Ellen, who was a dancer, professional dancer. She's now continuity in this career. But she was a dancer on the Ed Sullivan Show on the episode that the Beatles made their first appearance. Ellen Halpern is her name. Halpern. Okay. The lovely Patricia Heaton, who might be, for any of you that are curious, somewhat pregnant during this episode. So this has to be season 3. The Apartment, season 3. There's Patty. I can't tell. Yes, scene C, Deborah. Again, there's Patty. That says teaser. So that's the teaser. There is scene 3. Yes, Patty looking very pretty for the C scene. And let's see. Now, this is a detail that they need to know. That is, I guess, a robe that was placed in scene D. Deborah's robe to end on bed. Yes, so that has to be very... they have to pay attention, because for those of you that are sticklers about continuity for your favorite movie, and you go, wait a minute, he was wearing a tie, now he's not wearing a tie. So those are Patty's. Oh, I think she was in another scene. Yes, there we go. I knew there was something. Here we go. There's Patty, the cleaning lady, ready to visit Robert's apartment. There we go. And let me know. Give me some hearts. Could you tell that Patty was pregnant? Is that like would you answer, are you kidding me? It was so obvious? I don't know, because a lot of people, we tried to hide it, I think, with a basket of laundry to hide her. Yes, and there's Madeline. Madeline Sweeten. The lovely Madeline. There we go. Details of Madeline. Ah, yes. And now here, by the way, we have some answers. So people have been commenting. There's Doris. Marie, people have been commenting who know things about Doris's makeup. And they're saying with flash, which they often use, with flash photography, it shows up really bright white. So You're probably not noticing it on the show because there's not a flash. But when they're doing that, when they're taking Polaroids on set, here's a good one. So here, there's a circling of Doris's earrings. For those of you that are into earrings and attire, this must be a gem for you to see. When you take a flash photograph on a show, the lighting people need to know that you're taking a flash. So you will hear anybody who's taking a Polaroid, you'll hear them say flashing, and then this flash will go off. So, but if that might explain, there's another earring thing. Scene D, Doris, her earring circled. That's the first time I've seen it, episode 3, that I've seen a Polaroid circled. So here we go. This is the last scene. Here's Marie in the tag. And there's the white makeup. So then the next picture is probably going to be a close-up of her earrings, and I will post some of these. There you go. Doris's earrings. Let's see how close this can focus. Very impressive. And I think that's Rhonda from the props department behind, Rhonda Robinson behind them. Hello, everybody. Wow, we're gaining... Hello, hello, waving to some people. Here we go, Peter Boyle. Of course, Peter taking advantage of the apartment situation. There's Peter again. There's Ellen Halpern, who has this script, who was a dancer. She was on the Dean Martin show as well. She sang in a episode of the Dean Martin show. She would come out with a lollipop singing I Am 16 Going on 17, and Dean Martin made some, I'm sure, funny, but probably not of the times. Probably couldn't say it now. There is Robert, Brad Garrett, in his apartment. Scene B, Robert in his apartment. The apartment usually was situated, if you were in the audience, his apartment was almost always to the left of Ray and Deborah's living room. On the floor, there is Brad, scene D. These are never before seen photos other than the wardrobe department when they took them. And so, I guess these are the girls at Robert's apartment. There's one of them, that's Jeremy Stevens. That's Jeremy Stevens behind, who wrote Robert's date, standing behind the girl with his denim jacket, who wrote Robert's date with the mustard-colored suit. And there is that actress again. Scene B, I believe. So there, yes, they have to show all of this. If you're into wardrobe, this is great. So there you go. The thing, and then I think, I'm sure there's another. Here we go. Here's Robert's life then, yes. And scene A, actress. And then it's interesting. So when we have Ashley on, Ashley Steuer, who was a wardrobe department person, from the beginning of the show to the end of the show, we'll see what she said. So, okay, more photos, more scenes, more of the extra women in the... It's always curious to see who else has done what else, who had, I think on the movie The Big Chill, I think Kevin Costner plays the dead body in The Big Chill, the friend who has died, and then, of course, he moved on to stuff. And just so you know, this is going to be backwards and too much information, but there's wardrobe notes, a little spreadsheet with everybody and what they have to wear so they can keep track of it. It's backwards, but you can see very, very copious notes, and people are always surprised that, and I'm going to this is the inside of the script, and if for those of you that have asked about getting a copy of a script, you can see this will say, this is a revision, okay? Shooting day is a yellow script, but when there's a revision, they send them down in different colors, and it's color coordinated, and it'll also say the color, so there's absolutely no chance of an error. So it'll say green or fuchsia or salmon or something. Every iteration of the script gets updated throughout the night. And so there we go. There's another color. So that's why you see these kind of multiple colored things. And I can't see the name. That's salmon, or however you want to pronounce your favorite fish. But that's the colors. All right, let's do a few more questions. When I don't have a guest, I try and keep it to 45 minutes. I tried 30 minutes, but it's just too much fun, too much information. No one else's makeup showed up white except for Marie's. So you still wonder why, Kathy. Yes, excellent. We had Ellen on. We had Aaron on. Aaron, who was in the makeup department. The apartment aired December 98. Her son Daniel was born January 99. Thank you, CJ, and thank you, Google. That is great. Thank you so much. What was your biggest adjustment moving to LA? Bobby in Hawaii. Did you answer me, Bobby, where you are in Hawaii? Did I miss that? I apologize if I did. Yeah, the biggest adjustment, well, when I moved, it was I gave up my car. I was living in New Jersey, so Ray and I shared a car, but we were so focused on the show that it was actually a very easy adjustment. It was the amount of traffic was astounding. I will say that. But I moved from from New Jersey, and spent a lot of time in Manhattan, so it wasn't unusual. But this was the biggest surprise. It never rained, and I've mentioned this in past ones. Ray and I moved out in the end of July. It was November, and we were walking to the car, and Ray's like, "Hasn't rained since we moved here." So that was July, August, September, October, not one little drop of rain. That was unusual. And when it did rain, it was the front page. It was the leading news on the nightly news. And Ray and I thought that was quite funny. Karen, when I first watched ELR, I couldn't tell Deborah was pregnant, but I see it now knowing she was. Yeah, I think that's correct for most people, is like you see it and then you realize it. I wouldn't have noticed otherwise. Yes, the pregnancy, scrolling back. Covered up with a laundry basket. Yes, we were thinking eventually we're going to have to drive a Volkswagen in front of her to hide her pregnancy. And I do know that she did show a lot, but when she first got pregnant, she did say she doesn't show that much. But turns out she did. And I have to, hats off to Patty to be pregnant and have to work like that. To have kids already and to be pregnant and to do what a great job she did on the show. Hats off to Patty for being such a trooper, because I have never been pregnant myself, but I imagine it is a little fatiguing. The girls called Deborah the cleaning lady, and Ray drinks 2 glasses of water. Yes, a great moment. Meredith, did you and Ray go to Hofstra together? No. Phil Rosenthal went to Hofstra. Phil Rosenthal went to Hofstra. Ray went to a bunch of different colleges. I went to a small college in New Jersey called County College of Morris, and then I transferred to NYU, where I graduated from NYU. Hello, Paula. Let's see, final questions. Dave Foley was also on Christine as Tom. Oh, great. Good to know. Dave Foley, very talented, very funny. All right. Don't forget, final answers. You don't think, Karen, news radio in the UK. Yeah, and news radio, I don't think it's big in syndication here as well. King Fred, yes. Why does Hank refer to Pat McDougal as mother? Yes, it's just a very funny characteristic. Yeah, it's a very funny trait. And I'll tell you more another time how much we based the Fred Willard character on using traits of a couple of different people, but one of the executives' fathers was notorious for not having ever tried a cookie or a muffin or popcorn or a crazy amount of normal stuff. Hello, Trish. Meredith, yes, the Jenner episode. Great. All right. Has anyone ever asked why there's always ginger ale in the scenes? Yes. Okay, I answered that one. Ray loved ginger ale, and they sent it. Did I photograph the different food dishes on the variety cards? No. Those, Bobby, excellent question. Those were done by the film crew. So I have a picture of Mike Berlin, who I mentioned, who is the DP, and a cameraman, Paul Basta, filming them. And they would film, I don't know how many far in advance they would. Did Kevin James get his King of Queens start because of appearing on Raymond? I don't think it hurt. Kevin had a couple of development deals. There was actually a British comedian that I think there was a pilot. His first name was Lee, I want to say, comedian. Those in the UK might know him. So Kevin had a lot going on, so people had heard about him, but I'm sure it helped. And when they developed King of Queens, it was a script written by, I believe, Michael Whitehorn and another writer, and then they cast Kevin, which is different than how Everose Raymond came about. Everose Raymond came about as a vehicle to highlight Ray. King of Queens was a script that existed, and they cast Kevin. Ray's film, yes. So just so you know, so Ray's film, I believe, is going to be at the Tribeca Film Festival in New York. And then after it appears at that Tribeca Film Festival, which I think is June, then you find out the machinations of how a film happens. It's when it's in a film festival, somebody will usually buy it, and then you'll find out years later, a few weeks later, where it's going to end up. So I'm hoping it's a great, great film. And I'm hoping that, yes, excited to hear about Phil's new podcast. Excellent. So speaking of Phil, I've heard it. Yes. Yeah. So Phil Rosenthal has a new podcast called Naked Lunch with David Wild, who's here. Hold on. Don't forget, Phil has a show on Netflix called Somebody Feed Phil. And he also has a coffee mug. That was as noisy as I could go. So Phil has a podcast coming with David Wild. If you look up David Wild, I've had him on here as a guest. David Wild is one of the first critics to write a good thing about Everose Raymond, and Everose Raymond was in tough shape at the beginning. We were number 83 in the ratings, and at one point we were 106 in the ratings, and I think maybe there were 105 shows. So we were in tough shape. David Wild is a phenomenal reporter and journalist for Rolling Stone forever, and he had his own show on Bravo called Musicians, if you look it up, and I think he might have just helped with Ringo, who was a drummer in a band that I can't remember their name, but a big band, and so he's constantly in demand. I think he wrote the liner notes for the Rolling Stones, like greatest hits and Sinatra's, etc. So that's going to be Phil's podcast. So, and we'll have Phil up again here talking about the show because his new show is going to be coming out. The next season of Somebody Feed Phil will be coming out. Is that ginger ale in your Phil mug? Excellent joke. Hello, Mark Primer. No, that is pure coffee. Yes, pure coffee, Karen. Coffee, yes, coffee. I drink coffee, unlike Ray. Lee Evans, yes. Lee Evans, I believe. Lee Evans, maybe. Yes. Lee Evans, I'm thinking because Phil and I shot a pilot for a food show that won't air, but it was there. And I think we had Lee Evans on the show. Phil had Lee Evans on the show. I wasn't in the show. I was helping out Phil, and we spent a week in London, and I think Lee Evans, because is Lee Mack, is there someone named Lee Mack also? That just popped into my head. Snow in Long Island, yes, okay. Mark Primer, very good to see you. I hope you are well in Paris. All right, thank you very much, everybody. We will be uploading a lot of content to YouTube, so we will see you next week with a guest. Thank you always for all of your questions. Yes, very funny, Robert. The Rolling Who. Fantastic. I love it. I love it. All right. We will see you next week. Thank you, everybody. I'll post pictures of the apartment episode and other episodes. I read every single comment, and I try and answer them when I join you on Sunday. I look forward. Yes, Phil's show is on Netflix. It's called Somebody Feed Phil on Netflix. And I don't know when his podcast premieres, but fairly soon. Lee Mack. Yes, I don't know who Lee Mack is. I know in theory, but Lee Evans is who is not who it was, even though Phil and I had seen Lee Evans. All right. Thank you so much, very much, everybody. Paula, thank you. Hello, CJ. in San Francisco. Goodbye, everybody. All right, thank you. See you next week. Keep those comments coming.